During particularly trying cosmic alignments, I always receive a lot of messages and emails with people explaining that they're having a very difficult time and they generally cannot figure out why they may be feeling symptoms of erratic behavior, tension, depression, emotional outbursts, tiredness, or a general feeling of overwhelm. And what I think it's important for people to understand is that life flows in a cycle. We flow in cycles as human beings, being connected to all that is. Everything within existence of creation moves through cycles. We have seasons, we have the astrological signs that we move through with, different cosmic alignments. We have the phases of the moon. So people have a tendency to forget that we move through these cycles with the planet that we reside upon. We move through the 13 archetypes of the sun signs monthly, daily. We're moving through these commonly referred to astrological signs, these archetypes, which represent shadows into shine. Each astrological archetype represents something that we may struggle through, a shadow, so that when we overcome it, when we are surrendering to those deep shadows of personality within ourselves, what we can actually do is turn them into a power, into our shine. We can benefit from them. We can use that energy from that discovery process and that journey to benefit our life, to create momentum in our life. We also go through this with the phases of the moon. As we see during a new moon, a dark moon, it's a deepening into our shadow self, a deep dive into our shadows, anything that's blocking us, causing resistance, anything we're not allowing. A shadow is a part of yourself that you do not want to show the world. It's something that you've repressed, suppressed, because at some point in your life you were told that that was bad or that was wrong. It may not be the truth. It usually is not the truth. But during these new moon phases, that's what you dive into. You dive into the parts of yourself that you don't want to express, that you don't want to be seen. And then you're allowing it to begin to surface up during the full moon with this connective process during the new moon. So the full moon allows it to surface so that you can have that shadow almost evaporate and benefit from the shine. You can benefit from all that it's taught you, everything that experience has shown you and guided you through. Same with the seasons. We move into winter. Winter's hibernation. Winter's where we take care of ourselves, where we want to take care of our nutrition, where we take care of our energy management, all of these principles. It's our quiet time. It's our reflective time, our not so busy time. It's a time of rest and self-care. So that when we move into spring, what we're doing is using all of that energy that we built up during the winter phase to begin that new growth, right? Just like nature does all around us. Things begin to move under the surface. We're getting our ideas, we're getting those creative insights of new things, new possibilities that can be created within our life. And summer is where we begin to be active, we begin to flourish, we begin to put all of our creations out into the world, all of those projects that we had been slowly dabbling on through the spring from the ideas that we got in the winter. And then fall, that's where we have our harvest. That's where we reap the benefits of all of that beautiful cycle of growth that we just went through. And those seasons, we can go through those, in a weekly time frame, a monthly time frame, a yearly time frame. Those cycles are not contingent upon time. And so you might move through those cycles repeatedly throughout the year. But if you're not honoring this cycle process, if you're always trying to force yourself into an active state, into a summer state, you'll burn out because you're not honoring your winter cycle. You're not honoring the time where you should be slowing down and being reflective and going slow with your ideas, just thinking about your ideas, nourishing yourself, taking care of your energy while you go through that, acclimation process of being able to acclimate into these ideas, allow them to become part of your life. So the winter phase is very energetic, and that's why the utmost self-care and energy management is important, especially during that phase. And so what I see for most people is they're not honoring the cycles and the phases. They're not moving through the shadow work and the rest phases. They're trying to force their flow to always be in action, to always be in growth, to always be in bliss and joy and all of those states, which are magical, beautiful states, but they're not sustainable in and of itself. We have to cycle through things because that's where true growth resides, is in those cycles. That's how we honor ourselves and our natural flow. That's where we stay connected. That's where we shine at all times, and we can grow with ease and grace. We can move through life with ease and grace because we're not forcing ourselves to stay in one optimal state that we have decided is more beneficial than the rest and pulls us out of alignment. It is actually a state of forced stagnation. There's no growth in that. Truly, no sustainable growth in that state. What you're doing is pretending like you're AI, pretending like you only have one emotional state, one energetic state. You're not honoring who you are as a physical vessel, as a soul. You're not honoring yourself on multiple levels of being. And this is even more important to keep in mind these cycles now, because last year we began to anchor in within the physical plane of 5D. 5D is being connected to all that is being connected into the living web. It's really being connected into the flow of life force energy, that vital life force energy that keeps you satiated at all times. So you can't force yourself out of flow without creating massive amounts of resistance. So if you're one of those people that are having difficulty with the cycles of life, are you experiencing that resistance because you're forcing yourself out of flow with all that is? Are you holding on to an artificial state of being? Something that is not true, something that violates your truth and sovereignty because it's not part of your natural flow. Being in a 5D consciousness means that we are connected into all that is and into the living web. It also means that we become more sensitive to all that is. It means that we're more sensitive to other people, our environment, everything around us, which means we have to take more personal responsibility for our energy, for our well-being, for our time, for everything that we're exposing ourselves to. Personal responsibility is of the utmost importance if we want to truly evolve, if we want to ascend. It is not possible if we're not taking responsibility for what we're exposing ourselves to, what we're creating, because that's what will pull us all over the place. If we're in a feeling of disempowerment, if we're in a feeling of I can't take responsibility for my life due to shame or blame or whatever you're moving into, you're only going to experience massive resistance because you're forcing it. You're trying to force yourself into a unnatural state of being. So you have to take responsibility for everything that you're experiencing, exposing yourself to, or creating it within your life experience. You have control at all times to decide to be in force, resistance, or flow, grace. It's your choice, always. And it definitely makes this journey and this experience a lot easier if you remember that you will go through these cycles. You are naturally exposed to these cosmic energetics always. So you can try to force yourself out of them, creating resistance, or you can understand how they work and understand how you can work with the energy instead of against it. So much love, stay powerful, stay shiny, and stay amazing.